Okay, what you see here is the very beginning of the code, where it says name at the top. You have to put your name. Your name. Name, that's my name. The date, today's date is when I'm working on it, so that's the date I put in. And then the purpose is gather weather data and create a plot. All right? And then from NOAA _ SDK, import NOAA. Exactly as it says. And then import matplot lib, that's matplotlib, .pyplot as plt. Has to be exactly as that. And then now we're going to create a variable called name. This has to be your name again, not the sample code, your name. Now we're going to print the variable. When we say print the variable, it's going to print what we put in as the name. Okay? So, if I hit run, you're going to give it a second. Now it prints my name. So far, everything is working correctly. Let's continue. Okay, here in section 2, what we're doing is we're going to get the data from NOAA. Okay, now keeping in mind that up here we have all of the current information. You have to make sure that you do what the instructions are saying and substitute what's in the instructions for the actual current data, which is a typical mistake. You see I have my name, not just name. The start date has to be 14 days from today's date. Look at me, just caught my spelling error. So if today's the 25th, then the date would be the 11th. So 2025-06-11. The end date has to be today's date. So 2025-06-25. You have to make sure that you have that information. This is a common mistake. Now we're going to get the data from the API. We're going to set the variable as in, and we're going to assign it NOAA.NOAA, okay? And then the information will go inside the parentheses. And here we're going to say observations is the variable, and we're going to assign it of the N, which is right here, NOAA.NOAA. That will pull that right into it. Get observations from the N. Right here you have to have your zip code, not the one that's in the sample, which I keep saying. Your zip code. So I have my zip code, right? Space, comma. Then United States, space, comma. And then the start date and the end date. And it will pull in the start date from right here. It will make the start date 6/11/25 because we set that as the date for the variable. And the end date, it will pull in, because we assign today's date to the end date as the variable. That has to be exact. Now we're going to create 2 lists to store temperature and humidity. 2 lists. We're going to create a list that's called temperature equals, and then we put the half squares, because that's where you create an array. Humidity equals, we're going to put the 2 half squares, because that's the box to put a list or an array in. Now we're going to write the code for observations, in observations. So it's going to pull it from up here. Temp.append, where we're getting the temp, right here. What does append mean? We're going to add to. We're going to fill in this box. That's what append means. With observations, right here. Temperature and the value. We're going to fill that in. We're going to do the same thing for humidity.append. We're going to take humidity. Append means add something to it, because we're going to fill in the box right here. We're going to fill it in with relative humidity and the value. Then we're going to print the observations that we have just right here defined. We're going to print the OBS, the observations. How do we know? Because it's right here. Okay? We're going to print the observations with a timestamp, which means the date and time that this particular temperature and humidity occurred. Timestamp, space, comma, and then this is the format. Okay, quotation marks, \T for timestamp. Has to be exact. And so the observations we're actually going to print is the temperature value and the timestamp, the relative humidity value and the timestamp, and a text description. Okay, so if you hit run, so far what you're going to see is it printed my name, because I said name and print, and then here's all of the observations for my zip code. Okay, as you can see, the time and date stamp, that's today, 6/25. The temperature in Celsius is 27.2. The relative humidity is 79.28, and it's clear, and that's exactly what is happening. I'm in Florida. Relative humidity is high. It's sunny because it's in the morning. It wouldn't be sunny if it was in the afternoon. Okay? So then you go, it shows you for the previous 14 days from today's date, which we put up here as the 25th, down to the 11th. Okay? Because we're getting 2 weeks. Down to the 11th. Right here. It's going to tell us right here, temperatures, humidity. Look how humid it is here in Florida. Ooh, that was a good day, wasn't it? 43, low humidity. So it's going to pull up the 2 weeks that we asked for. So far, so good. Let's keep going. Okay, now we're going to create the first plot. Everything has stayed the same. We're all the way down here, print temperature versus humidity. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to fill in the list. The humidity equals the list, the filter, none. We're not going to filter it, comma, space, humidity. Then the temperature is going to be the same thing, list, filter, none, comma, space, temp. Then we're going to do a figure. We're going to put the plot in a PNG picture. That's what the commas for, the parentheses, because it will put that in there. We're going to plot the temperature, comma, space, the label for the temperature so that you can see it. It's going to have a label that says temperature. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to create a label for the plot for humidity. Space label equals humidity. And we're going to create a legend so that people can look at your picture and tell by using the legend, like on a map, what everything means. The subtitle is temperature versus humidity. And we're going to save the figure, the picture. Notice here, this is a single apostrophe versus a double, weather.png. And let's run it. Keep your fingers crossed. Boom! There we go. It runs everything again. It's running everything that we ask it to. Okay. You see right up here where my cursor is, the little document with the 2? That means there's files there for you. So if we click on that and open it, you see this is the main file that we're doing the code in. Right here is the plot that we just created. So if we click on that, boom, look at it. So there is the plot that we just created for temperature versus humidity, where I live here in Central Florida in zip code 32163 for the previous 2 weeks, starting on the 11th, ending today. Okay, and here's your legend. The temperature is in blue. The humidity is in orange. Now, what is the value of this? Because this you can look at and see, do you see any correlation? I do. See, the humidity is only at 80, but the temperature was at 30, almost 30 Celsius. But look, as the temperature goes up, the humidity goes down. The temperature goes down, the humidity goes up. So when it asks, do I see any interesting information from this correlation, what it tells me is here in Central Florida, 11th through the 25th of June, zip code 32163, when the temperature rises, the humidity decreases. When the temperature decreases, the humidity rises. Why is that? because as the temperature gets hotter and hotter, it burns off the moisture in the air, which is the humidity. So far, so good. Let's continue on with the rest of it. Now we're going to create the box plot. So we're going to create the plot dot figure. So we're going to make another picture. We're going to call it box underscore data, and the data is going to be the temperature and the humidity that we created earlier. We're just using the same data over and over and then plotting it in different ways. It's going to be plot dot the box plot. This all comes from the matplot library, and we're going to, inside the parentheses, box data, comma, labels equals. Then here is the list of our labels, temperature and humidity. Notice the one single apostrophe for these, not two. That's going to be the labels. The title is going to be box plot. Now notice in the title it's double apostrophe. And we're going to save the image as boxplot.png. Okay, now let's run this and see what happens. Keep my fingers crossed. Usually I just misspell something or put a hyphen or apostrophe or something that's not supposed to be there, because normally I type with two fingers, so usually mine's misspelling. So we're going to let it run. Again, it's running through the same exact thing it does every time. It's pulling all of the data in for the temperature, the humidity, whether it's clear, all of those things. It's going to do everything that we've already asked it to do earlier, because every time it runs, it starts from the beginning and runs everything again. And then when it finishes, what you're going to see, again, see up here where the files are? You open that, that shows you all of your files for this project. There was the weather PNG that we created earlier with the bar graph. Now it's creating the box plot. Let's look at that. It's not finished running. Hang on. Boom, there's your box plot. That's what it's showing you. The box plot shows the temperature range, as you can see right here, and what the humidity does when the temperature rises or lowers. That's your box plot. So that's how we do that one. All right, now we're going to bring it home and finish it off. What we're going to do is print statistics of your weather. We're going to call the variables average underscore temperature. We're going to assign the variable as sum, which means you add it up, right? How do we do averages? We add up the sum of all the temperatures, divide it by LEN, means number of temps. So they're going to add up the sum of all the temperatures and divide it by the number of the temps to get the average. We're going to assign a variable of low underscore temp. We're going to assign it a value of whatever the minimum temperature is that it pulls from the data. We're going to do the same thing for the high temperature. Create a variable, high underscore temp, assign it a value of the max temperature. Again, this is all built into the matplot library. Now we're going to print. We're going to print a label that says weather statistics. Okay, there should not be a period there. Weather statistics. We're going to print the average temperature was, and the formatting has to be exact. Okay. Average underscore temperature. It's going to pull in and do that calculation. It's going to print the lowest temperature and the highest temperature. Formatting is vital. Again, when you're printing text and you want it to say something, you're in between double quotation marks. Now this says the average temperature was colon, space, that ends the double quotation. And then there's a comma, and then we put the average temperature. Do the same thing for the lowest. I didn't spell it right. Did you catch that? And the highest temperature. Now we're going to hit run and we're going to see what happens. Again, it's going to run through everything it does every single time. Runs from the top to the bottom. If I didn't have any mistakes that I didn't catch as you saw as I was going through it, we should see the statistics at the bottom. Let's look and see. Here we go. Weather statistics. The average temperature was 27.36, that's Celsius. The lowest temperature was 23. The highest temperature was 33. Okay. Why does it keep changing? Because we're still in real time for today. And then you still have all, let me close it back down for you. You still have the images that you created right here. So we have the main file, we have the box plot, and the weather PNG. We have everything that we created. Now when it's all running correctly, and you can open this up and you can see your box plot and you can see your weather, and everything ran and ends like right here with the lowest and highest temperature, then it's ready to submit for grading. Now, before you message me and say I did everything right and it didn't run, that's not possible. As coders, we all thought that when we first started, because the truth of the matter is it has no emotions. If we typed everything exactly right, it would run. Okay? So before you say I did everything right and it's not working, that's not possible, because as you see, if you do everything right, it does work. So if it's not running, the error will tell you down here what the error is and what line it's on. Okay? And refer back to mine if you need to. The biggest things to remember is, let me pull this back up. Where'd you go? Where did you go? Is change the information to your own. Your name, your date, okay? Your name again right here so that it prints your name down here in the code, and the real start dates in this format. 14 days from the date that you did this, and then today's date. You have to change them to those. And you have to use your zip code. Okay? So, you ready? Let's knock this thing over. Thanks much.